Aviassembly is a video game where you build a plane and try and deliver items to other airports without blowing up. To get this 100%, I'm going to have to complete the whole campaign and build some abominable planes for these other achievements. So without further ado, welcome to the Aviassembly 100%. This is going to be a peaceful game. We start this game off by designing our plane. I made a very simple design since we're kinda broke. Starting off with a cockpit, some wooden wings, a wooden engine, some wheels and a tail wing, something that can just barely fly. I'm gonna call this Jim. Jim is a good plane, as it can fly and we can land at the closest airport, being a hospital, before running out of fuel. Here I can refuel and fly to the next airport. You might be wondering, what are we meant to do in this game? Well, apparently an earthquake has destroyed most of humanity and damaged a ton of people's houses, and they need me, the pilot, to deliver supplies to all these places. So I loaded my plane up with batteries and flew back to the hospital, which gave me money for doing this. At the hospital I got some medicine and flew all the way back to that wind turbine airport. I had a very hard landing. I got a notification on my map for 2 different airports, so I went over there and landed on them. Everything was going great as I flew around delivering items, until this happened. What happened, you might be wondering? You see, not long ago I increased the plane's width so I could fit more cargo on the plane. Sadly, according to basics of physics, if I increase the mass of the plane and gravity stays the same, I need more force to have lift. Well, to actually just go forward. This basically means that I either need to make a longer runway or go faster. So that means upgrade time. Introducing Jim 2. This plane has a better engine to go faster and a fuel tank to fly longer. That means the plane is very fast. Maybe a little too fast. I just gotta slow down when the flashing red bubbles come up. Anyway, the plane can carry more stuff, meaning we can finish a lot more quests, like all these ones. In this next quest, I was challenged to deliver 3 fruit, but the twist was there was a timer, and I had to deliver this fruit before the timer ran out. And try not to hit a tree while trying to take off. Thankfully for the new engine, this was really easy, as we are very fast. Now, I need to start carrying more stuff, since I'll have to do this trip later on, so I decided to try and upgrade the plane. Look, it may look cursed, but I can assure you, it's perfect. And this is Jim 2.2, which I can confirm flies. Everything was going great with the new plane. We were doing deliveries, I even upgraded the wings on the plane. But on my adventure to find another airport, I was running low on fuel. Luckily though, in the end, we made it. This airport is kinda cool, since it's right next to this crash cargo ship airport, and here we can collect passengers or survivors. But we can refuel this airport since it's abandoned, meaning we have to do one big go to collect the survivors and deliver them to the other airport. Fuel was very tight, and I have to do this around 2 more times. Unless we upgrade Jim, of course. Introducing Jim Twin Engine. It's the same plane with 2 engines. And that let me collect other survivors. Slowly I did more missions, and Jim became larger every single time. And I'm sure this won't have any issues in the future. The future being 10 minutes later, as Jim is really heavy. You see, when I add more cargo space, it means I can carry more weight, And of course, I'm gonna fill every single space Jim has. This is all good until the wheels decide to self-destruct every single time I try and pick up stuff, or try and land. And don't get me started on when I'm trying to actually take off. That's just cancer. For now, I adjusted the wheels to fix them, but the taking off is still an issue. A very big issue is every time I try and take off from the space, I hit the mountain. My brilliant solution to fix this issue was to just double engines. And by some miracle, this is working well, as the plane now acted as a rocket, as it couldn't take off while connected to the ground, but as soon as it goes over a cliff, it can fly. For the most part. And for the next few missions, I just used this plane, having no real issues. Eventually I got enough money and decided to research some jet engines since I was tired with these propeller engines. The first model was really fast, however it just couldn't pull up. Meaning it's a 50-50 chance that it would actually take off. This was fixed by adding another tail wing. And with the new upgraded Gym 3.0 we can fly to the snow. Here are the few changes in this area, like the very tall mountains I'm going to be crashing into. The resources I have to transport are heavy as fuck, and are going to blow my wheels up. And the airports being very far apart means I'm going to crash in the ocean a lot from running out of fuel. But hey, let's go do some missions. Yeah, this one airport absolutely sucked to get done, but eventually I did finish it, and could continue doing missions in the snow. But once again, I think it was time for some upgrades, and I could get this new engine that's a lot faster. Sadly, I could only afford one of them, and I placed it on the very top of the plane, making it look retarded as hell. Fortunately for me, it actually flew. But hey, that's cool, I guess. And it worked, allowing me to complete a few more missions. Now, the next bit is a little bit boring, as I upgrade my plane by adding a new wing and a few new engines, but did nothing else for the next 40 minutes. Until I saw the great nuclear reactor. I flew there instantly towards the desert base to explore the final zone in this game. The desert is extremely flat, making it easy to traverse. However, its goods are extremely heavy, making it once again blow my wheels up and have cancer transporting them. But hey, you just gotta live with it sometimes. Interestingly, in the desert, there are things called chemicals that have a timer on them. Sadly for me, these chemicals have literally 15 seconds until they expire. And my plane is not fast enough to take off and deliver them. Damn. We're gonna have to tackle that mission another time then. But now let's get some bigger landing gear to prevent my wheels from combusting. And I eventually landed at the reactor, which was exploded and needed water to put out the fire. I got distracted and decided to do another delivery, which actually ended up me getting my first achievement in this game, called Cargo Truck, which is where you finish a mission without touching the ground. However, I was flying this whole mission, so I don't know. Once again, after a few more deliveries, I decided it was time to finally upgrade my plane further and make it faster. You see, we had these turbine engines beforehand, and they were bad. We had max 190 knots, and as we know from the chemical thing, we need a lot faster engines. I placed on turbojet engines, which are overpowered as hell. These suckers can get up to 190 in a matter of seconds, and have a turbo mode, which makes them go even faster. Blowing up the wings of my plane, making itself a complete rocket into the ground, giving me one achievement for reaching 500 knots. What can I say, these engines are beautiful, and adjusting the wings, they can actually sustain most of the speed. This meant I can do some of the quests that require me to go halfway across the map for these timed items. The only issue this plane now runs into, it's too fast to slow down when it lands. I've had to install a parachute on the very back to slow it down, but even that doesn't always work. This plane was so good that I started stacking quests on to get an achievement. Sometimes though, doing these quests, I ran out of fuel from flying all the way around the world, so I'd ultimately sometimes end up in a situation like this. And for the next hour, I just started doing missions, grinding away at this achievement. But hey, there was still the nuclear power plant that I had to solve. You see, here, there's a nuclear waste I have to transport. The only issue is, it's ridiculously heavy, meaning I have to make a very elongated plane. When I eventually got here, I thought this would be an absolute breeze, since I have my overpowered engines. But I was quickly humbled. My plane decided not to fly, but instead fall. That's okay though, since I'm sure if I had another engine, everything will be completely fine. Let's try that one more time. What do you know, it actually flies. And I eventually landed with all the waste, completing the game, getting myself another Steam achievement. The next miscellaneous achievements I had to do was go up to 10,000 meters, and I did that by pointing my plane up like a rocket until I eventually got it. After that, I went around the map in my speed demon plane, doing every single mission to get this achievement. I threw in as many thrusters as I could actually afford on this plane in order to go 1,000 kilometers per hour and get another achievement. However, I had to go a lot faster. I needed to reach 3,000 kilometers per hour, and my last plane only did 1,000. So I had to completely re-engineer a much smaller and aerodynamic plane. Introducing Mr. Speedio. This plane is very fast and has a lot of fuel to go very fast. Unfortunately for me, I clicked the wrong button and smashed into the ocean. On my second try, I got to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and eventually 3,000 kilometers per hour, getting myself the achievement. I've got a few more achievements to get, but one of them involves me playing this whole game again with just wooden engines. This might sound like a pain, making very big planes. However, there is a exploit or game design that allows me to make a very simple plane and just keep on adding wooden engines when I need to. By stacking a ton of wooden engines into the cockpit, I was able to go high speeds with these wooden engines and do a lot of the missions. With that, I could then focus my attention on the other achievements. One of these achievements involved me completing a mission without any wings. To do this, I essentially created a hot air balloon that basically lifted with just air, and I slowly managed to make it to my target. Using the same plane design, I decided to slowly do another mission, not exceeding 50 knots per hour. And eventually, after a few failed attempts, I was able to do it. With there being only one more achievement, I started playing the whole game again, with just the wooden planes, and continued adding on to my absolute monster of a plane, until eventually I got all the way to the nuclear reactor and the waste, where my plane actually flew with just wooden engines and this heavy thing. Perfect landing with no issues at all. Thus, finishing the whole game with just wooden engines, giving me the 100% in Aviassembly. But before we end this video, this game is only in early access, meaning there are going to be more achievements in the future, or I hope so. But hey, this game was absolutely amazing, and I had a blast, so make sure to play this game if you want to. And I'll see you in the next 100% or Platinum. Bye bye.